The Transpac is one of the world's premier blue water classic yacht races and has a history stretching back over 100 years, with generations of people having taken part and raced the 2,225-mile course. This is Transpac 2021. The Transpac race is back for the 51st staging of the event, and in Los Angeles, at many of the harbors and marinas in the area, there's a buzz of excitement, with crews preparing their yachts for the adventure that lay ahead. Due to the COVID pandemic that engulfed the world, everyone has experienced a changed lifestyle since the previous race in 2019, but the organizers have persevered and the race is on, albeit with reduced numbers due to continuing travel restrictions. The Trans-Pacific Yacht Club members are a special group, having staged this race for over 100 years. So what is the attraction for those taking part?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the crew, for one thing, is a great bunch of friends, the people that I've known for a long time. Some of us have done it before, some of us have done it a lot, some of us haven't done it at all.
I'm primarily a dinghy sailor. I've never done any kind of offshore racing. Very excited to go offshore for the first time.
Hawaii is the most remote piece of dirt on Earth, pretty much if anything were to happen, they can divert commercial shipping to you or they can fly over, but the helicopters can't get out there and back after about maybe 400 miles off the coast. So you need to make sure the boat's properly prepared.
I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be a good race for a lot of boats to Hawaii. It's going to be a fun downwind race.
This race is very, very special. It's long. It is over probably a 7-day race for most boats. You're in a tight group, in a tight space for many days, and you just finish. I mean, the finish at Diamond Head Buoy in Honolulu is like none other. You finish a long passage like that and you feel a great self-confidence, and you've just completed an unbelievably wonderful, wonderful experience.
The race course is simple. Start at San Pedro's Point Fermin Lighthouse, past the west end of Catalina Island, and head straight across the Pacific Ocean to Hawaii.
Over the 2,220 nautical mile race, there's a lot of different ways you can get to Hawaii. And the race is broken up really into 3 different parts. You have the start from Los Angeles out to the gradient pressure. From there you have your entry into the mid-Pacific High, and then you have the trade latitudes, dealing with squalls, a variety of wind shifts and sea conditions as you approach Hawaii. So while it is point A to point B, it's completely open ocean. You can go any way, and I think it's one of the harder race courses out there.
This is the 51st staging of the race, which began in 1906 and takes place every 2 years. It's become a must-do event for top sailors worldwide throughout its long history. The originator of the Trans-Pacific Yacht Race was Clarence McFarlane of Honolulu, who invited several mainland yachtsmen to join him in a race to Honolulu. On June 11, 1906, 3 yachts left San Pedro to race to Waikiki, thus establishing what has become an enduring legacy, and one that continues to fascinate and draw people in to take part time and again. There have been many records set for crossing through the years, and one of the longest standing records stood for 20 years, set in 1977 by the yacht Merlin, designed by Bill Lee, with an elapsed time of 8 days, 11 hours, 1 minute, and 45 seconds. New records followed, and in 2017, Jim Clark's VPLP 100 Comanche set a new time at 5 days, 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 26 seconds. Also setting a new best 24-hour distance record at 484.1 nautical miles. 3 separate race start days are planned, the smallest yachts beginning 3 days earlier than the largest. And as they all count down to the start, the excitement builds. The planning for this race starts months, if not years earlier, with many of the owners and crew having competed in the race many times. Such is the attraction. In 2019, however, one of the fastest yachts, Pyewacket, owned by Roy P. Disney, halted its race to rescue another crew who were in serious trouble with their yacht sinking after an incident and in need of rescue.
They rescued that crew and brought them all back to Marina del Rey, and basically really saved a lot of guys' lives. They just did the right thing.
Disney and his crew went to their assistance and saved everyone, subsequently hailed throughout the sport for their heroic action in bringing everyone home safe. After their dramatic mid-ocean rescue of the crew, they were even awarded seamanship awards as far away as the UK. It's one of the fastest and largest yachts in the fleet at 70 feet long, and Roy and his crew are back to try and set a new record crossing time again, having achieved the feat previously.
So this boat is a Volvo 70, which has been around the world once as Telefonica. Then it was bought by an Australian owner who modified the boat, turbocharged it. He wanted to be able to race against the 100-footers as a 70-footer. So he added a bunch of mast, a bunch of keel, and a bunch of sail area. But then he decided to just get a 100-footer. So we got a hold of this boat and we've been working on it pretty much ever since, learning every day about how to make it faster.
But they have a tough contest in the Division I class against 4 other large and fast yachts. There are 8 divisions racing in all, which accommodates all the different types and sizes of competing yachts and make it a level playing field with a handicap system. In Division 3, Vitesse and Fast Exit 2 are with 6 other yachts vying for honors.
We like to have fun, sail fast, be safe, and I have a great crew that enjoys doing the same thing. So hopefully the outcomes are good, and we arrive in Hawaii having been proud of the accomplishment. I think it's going to be really good to see how we stack up against some really good teams on really fine boats that are very similar to Vitesse.
We've been sailing a number of events, getting ready, and we've been doing a lot of practicing lately, going out by ourselves, doing very disciplined approaches in terms of how we sail a boat and getting the crew practice up so everybody works together as a real team.
It's morning, and the 7 crews of the smaller, slower yachts say their farewells, leaving loved ones behind as they slip their lines and head to the starting line, ready for the adventure. And on schedule, the first of 3 Transpac 51 race starts is away. The 7 yachts making up Division 8 range in size from 37 to 57 feet, and they cross the start line set 1 mile south of San Pedro's Point Fermin Lighthouse. An 11-knot thermal westerly breeze propels them on their way towards the only 2 mandatory turning marks of the racecourse, taking them to the west end of Catalina, 25 miles away. Andy Schwenk's Spindrift 5 was one of the first to cross, but all the crews knew it was going to be a long race, with the larger yachts rapidly overtaking them on their way to Hawaii. But they were on their way as the coastline faded out of view. Three days later, and the preparations around the LA area have stepped up, with 15 more teams preparing to leave on this 2,225-mile race, and with everyone looking forward to it.
This will be my first. I'm very excited. It's really great to actually be able to do this race. I'm grateful to have this opportunity.
It's fun to see everybody so enthusiastic about it. Our crews, this is a dream of a lifetime for most of them. So they're just soaking everything in like a huge sponge.
And time for final checks as the yachts depart for the starting line. The crews check the wind conditions and familiarize themselves with the starting line area. And in a building westerly breeze of 9 to 12 knots, Divisions 5, 6, and 7 are off to a fast start on this first leg of the race, leaving the west end of Catalina to port, before then leaving the mainland behind them, with the next landfall being Diamond Head in Honolulu. But just a few minutes after the start, Bill McKinley's Kerr 46 Denali 3 suffered a breakage, the carbon mast tube failing halfway up the spar, bringing a catastrophic end to their race challenge. A huge disappointment for the crew. After leaving the armada of spectator boats, the breeze steadies in at around 8 to 10 knots through the first few miles, and then builds as the fleet approaches Catalina Island. It continues to build as they pass Catalina on port tack on this upwind leg to stay safely offshore. Then it's the last tack on to starboard, where they will likely stay for most of the race in the coming days as they head further and further out into the mighty Pacific Ocean. It's time for the third and final start of the Transpac 51 race for the largest and fastest yachts.
I have yet to do a true long-distance ocean race. I've done mostly Fastnet, Middle Sea, Bermuda, Sydney, Hobart on my prior boat, all of which are under 630 miles. So this is a beast of a race in terms of distance, enjoyable in terms of conditions.
And the crew of Paiwacket enjoy a traditional Polynesian blessing of their boat to wish them good fortune on the race.
So we witnessed a traditional Hawaiian boat blessing. I am so respectful and so believe in Polynesian society. It's important to keep that culture alive, and often ancient knowledge is stronger than current knowledge. I originally did a boat blessing in 1997, and we ended up breaking the existing record by 17 hours. So I strongly believe in it. And not that I'm out breaking records, but I just want to honor the Polynesian Hawaiian society as best I can.
With this ancient tradition complete, it's time for the third and final start of the Transpac 51 race for the largest and fastest yachts. Powered by the best breeze of the week with 10 to 15 knots at the start off Point Furman, these are ideal conditions for the 19 entries in 4 divisions varying from 52 to 77 feet in length, and with all the crews eagerly anticipating a fast passage. And in these perfect conditions, the final start is underway. A truly spectacular sight. The leaders quickly cover ground upwind, keeping a close watch on their rivals here, as no one wants to make a mistake early on in the race, nor give anyone else an advantage. So it's a fast but careful first stage of the race as they head out towards the west end of Catalina, ready for open ocean. The large yachts in Division 1 have their eyes set on the famous Barn Door Trophy for the first to finish the race in Hawaii, as well as the 24-hour distance record. So the competition is sure to be intense as the miles fall under the keel towards Hawaii. And the race is well and truly on. The 51st Transpac Yacht Race is underway, having left Los Angeles with 3 different start days completed for the different size yachts. And in the first few days, tactics have proven crucial to progress. The weather forecast is predicted to offer classic Transpac downwind sailing conditions. With the Pacific high, a ridge of high pressure spread out across the ocean, boat speeds are up. The competitors are enjoying the ride and easing into their routines aboard with watch systems now established. For the navigators and tacticians, it's a non-stop process of reading the weather patterns and perhaps not staying on the rum line while predicting the best and fastest route to the finish line. The handicap rating system means that the actual finish time of each yacht is subject to a corrected time factor, which means every yacht taking place in the race has, in theory, an equal chance of winning the overall title after the time correction factor is applied to their recorded finish time in Honolulu. But there remains huge prestige and satisfaction in finishing first, being the fastest and winning the coveted Barn Door Trophy. Racing in Division 1, Compadres is an Andrews 77-foot yacht built in 2003 and owned by John Clement and David Dahl, who are the last group to leave Los Angeles. After 2 days, they're starting to close the gap on the smaller yachts that left well ahead of them. Averaging around 13 knots, the prospects of a winning run may be starting to fade, with Pyewacket, Good Energy, Bad Pack, and Lucky competing against them. But spirits remain high.
We had an epic start. Can't believe how nice it was. We had like 15 boats on the line. We had about 100 boats out there spectating. It was great winds as we were heading out to Catalina. We cleared Catalina on the first leg with only one tack. And then we went deep, and that was basically the first day. And the second day, the first night was pretty exciting in terms of, I just say not too rough. And then yesterday, I thought it was great sailing all day. Everybody's been rotating through all the positions. The crew and all of the teammates are skilled in different positions, and I'll say last night was a little bit of a challenge.
The crew are working hard and rotating through their onboard watches.
So far, it's been an absolute blast. Could not have asked for better weather. I guess we could be a little sunnier, but other than couldn't have asked for better wind. Competitive team here, and we're excited to track down the bad energy ahead of us.
Approaching the halfway mark, Cecil and Allison Rossi's Far 57 Ho'okalehi is the first in the 40-boat fleet to pass the halfway point, having averaged 11.8 knots. But they have a special reason to take part in this race, with plans to spread the ashes of relatives and friends into the seas off Hawaii.
I think it's just a special place. Molokai Channel, is culmination to a great race. And, it's always an exciting time during the race, and it's something you remember. And so I think from my mind, it was a good place that I could always remember my parents there. I mean, Diamond Head is just such a spectacular finish, if you're fortunate enough to do it during the day, especially. But I think it's a good memory for a lot of people.
All of the crews are enjoying their race, and in Division 4, the crew of Rock and Roll, a 1994 68-foot Andrews yacht owned by Justin Smart and John Sangmeister, are sailing fast. But they take time out for a below-decks tour while racing at full speed.
Start up in the bow, we're cruising along at about 18 knots, maybe 15. So this is our watertight bulkhead up here, just going in before the race. As you can see, we have the sail stack down below because we're VMG running right now. So we're on starboard tack, so the sleeping arrangements are on starboard side. And this boat has a really nice galley. So everybody's coffee mugs are up here, all numbered. Let's see what's in the freezer. Oh, not much left. Lobster tails. We're having those tonight, so we're running out, getting low on food. This is pretty rare in most race boats, but we have a full-blown Force 10 oven and stove, very nice. And moving back here is our navigator, Brendan Bush. Hi, Brendan.
Hello.
So he's running 2 laptops, all of our routing, email communications. Also has a tablet for bringing stuff up on deck to show the crew. A couple sat phones, Iridium Go, all kinds of good stuff. So that's all for now. That's your indoor tour of the good ship Rock and Roll. Andy Smith checking out.
And while some crews are flat out with the racing first and foremost, many are just partying and having a ball. So over the halfway point for the race, and the big boats are fast catching up the early leaders, with Pyewacket 70 leading the charge as expected. Burning up the miles and reaching at over 20 knots, the crew are loving this high-speed sled ride once again. For owner Roy Disney, this is his 25th Transpac race, setting a new record in the race's history.
This is a race that has a lot of different angles to it. The first few days are on the wind, so you're not going all that fast. Then you get into this great reach. That's where the 24-hour records usually get set, and then it's tactical downwind to the finish.
028. What boat is that? Brett Walden.
Rogers 46.
At 70 miles. Okay, they're still ahead of Lucky as an example.
Wow. I study the weather for about 10 days before the start of the race, but when you actually get out there on the ocean, the wind is never steady.
How's it going?
This boat is so unusual because it not only is moving, rocking, up, down, the whole thing, but it bounces down the waves all the time, all day long. Like you're going upwind, except you're going downwind.
So as the race enters its final phase, can the crew of Pyewacket finish first and achieve their goal of a new course record? In Honolulu, preparations are ready for the first arrivals into the Alawai Marina next to the world-famous Waikiki Beach, with a constant stream of crews expected over the next few days, having completed their race and ready for some relaxation. Everyone now has their eyes on the race trackers aboard each team. The yachts are within only 200 miles of the finish. With the changing weather conditions, the crew aboard Pyewacket have realized they are now unlikely to set a new race record, but are closing in fast on the finish line, having decided instead to attempt a new 24-hour distance record. Despite forecasts, the winds were not quite favorable to beat Comanche's time to the finish, but it's still an outstanding achievement. They finally finish at 2:53 a.m., crossing the line off Diamond Head in a time of 5 days, 16 hours, 53 minutes, and 20 seconds since starting off San Pedro in Los Angeles. Arriving into the marina, a welcome party is there to greet them in traditional Transpac style. Knowing they couldn't defeat the course record, the team decided instead to go for the longest 24-hour run in the race. The team sailed 506.4 miles at an average speed of 21.1 knots, a new race record.
We happened to be in a position where we could go straight for 24 hours. So we thought, why not? We're not going to win overall, so why not go for that one?
We didn't know if it was going to be possible. It was close, and it was one of those things where as it was transpiring, I would look at it every hour or so and say, well, we need to average this speed for the next 3 hours or 4 hours in order to do it. And we squeaked by and made it over 500 miles, which is that's a milestone for these boats.
If you have a boat like this and you don't have a crew like we do, you do a boat like this a huge disservice. So we have a really good crew. Like when we do maneuvers, nothing ever happens in the middle of a maneuver that screws it up. Everybody gets along. Roy and his dad engendered this kind of family attitude where the old guys get to go with the young guys. They do all the hard work, we do the kind of brain thinking, and we teach them about how you think about that. It works out at the end of the day.
Following on from the early morning arrival, another crew of friends and family was heading for Diamond Head for a spectacular morning finish filled with big waves, high winds, and plenty of spray. Until being overtaken by Pyewacket, Ho'okalehi in Division 8 was out in front of the entire fleet for much of the race, being the fastest boat in the first wave of starters to leave. Their elapsed time of 9 days, 22 hours, 39 minutes, and 36 seconds made for an average speed of 9.3 knots on the course, safely winning their class.
It was kind of challenging because it was a squally year. There's a lot of squalls and, wind shifts. We had some good breeze, nothing over about 30 knots, but usually in the mid-20s. But other than that, we got here.
Tough start for us the first day. We only went about 65 miles for the first check-in, so probably the worst exit from LA that I've had, and and certainly that was the deciding factor for our class in the race. But once we got into the pressure, pretty straightforward, you know, sailing the closest angle to Hawaii as we could, and it made it, you know, a lot easier for us.
And the crew are now able to spread the ashes of those for whom they sailed so far in a tearful remembrance ceremony in honor of their loved ones. As the hours pass, more and more finishers make their way through the Molokai Channel and onto the finish line at Diamond Head. Byron Earnhardt's Util Rolex 72 Lucky should have finished third perhaps, but they break their rudder just 30 miles out from the finish. A heartbreaking end to a valiant effort, while team after team complete the challenge in exhilarating style. But overall, it's Chris Sheehan's Warrior 1, a Pac 52 yacht which takes first position on corrected time after another fabulous Transpac race enjoyed by all.
It's been an absolute ton of work with an unbelievable team. We've had an absolute blast, and we're happy to be here. Obviously ecstatic to get the overall win, but yeah, a massive team effort by all.
We took some big waves and a lot of water coming over the bow. We talked about how many gallons were we taking. It was barrels full of water coming over the bow, and it was wet.
It's a battle. We finished in just under 7 days, and we pushed ourselves the whole way. For a crew of 10, a big chunk of which had never been offshore, this was something new every day, and the most surprising thing about it is just the duration. I mean, it is a marathon, not a sprint.
Fantastic. A little under 7 days, which I think is the fastest trip for Pelagroso in all the Transpacs it's done. The boat was built in 2005, so it's done a few, so that was exciting for us. One of the things that was really fun was that we actually had a record day for the boat, which was about 380 miles in one day.
I think we want to feel like we sailed the boat to its potential, that we sailed a good race strategically, that we did good execution of our maneuvers, so tacking, jibing, sail changes and all that stuff. I'd have to say that, you know, we hit on all those things, and I think the results this time, you know, we really feel positive about where the boat is and what it can do. It's just a great ocean boat, and we had a great time.
We had a great race. It was a very, very fast race. Boats like my boat, the Kerr 51, like the Pac 52s and others, are very fast boats. They're full-on beasts, and so the boat was a real exercise, real athletic effort to sail it to Hawaii.
The final stage of the race is the awards ceremony in time-honored style, but on this occasion a smaller affair due to COVID considerations at the yacht club. Nonetheless, an impressive array of trophies is presented. Ho'okalehi takes first place in Division 8.
They spoke to Ho'okalehi.
While Division 6 is won by Horizon and Division 7 by Favonius. First in Division 5 is Brettwalder 3, and in Division 4, it's Pied Piper. Division 3 is won by overall winner Warrior 1, while the Division 2 winner is Pelagroso. And the big boat Division 1 winner is Bad Pack. The famous Barn Door Trophy, a huge carved koa wood panel, is won by Roy Disney and crew aboard Pyewacket 70. But it's the crew of Warrior 1 who take the overall fleet victory and the King Kalakau Trophy on corrected time. With stories of massive waves, sustained high speeds, and record runs, this year's race proved to be yet another epic Transpac, with memories forged for a lifetime. This famous Blue Water Classic, the 51st Transpac, has carved yet another chapter in the long history of the race, and one that will be remembered for many years to come.